This Daf Yerushalmi Shevi'is in the article Oz V'Hara edition, we're on Daf Lamed Beis and Ralph at the Mishnah of Allah Zayin, which in the Vilna edition is on Daf Yud Beis right at the top. Allah Zayin begins, and as all the Shurim of the Yerushalmi are at this time, it should be a schus for the Yoshvei Eretz Yisrael who are, and Klal Yisrael around the world, who are standing against Umdim Aleinu Chaloseinu, and Bez Hashem Kashbach Yatseinu Miyodam. Halacha Zayin, says the Mishnah, Zeisim Mishikonsu Shechnisu Revius L'Sa'ah, if you they are able to produce, a revius, which is 3.3 ounces according to the Nora, 5.1 ounces according to Chazanish. No, it's 4.6. Chazanish, I think it's 5.1 according to Moshe. I forget about that. But in any event, if you can produce that much from a sa'ah of zeisim, then you can put your potzea, which means you crack them in order to be able to make them softer. You can eat it in the field. That's the way it's considered to be edible, and it's not a diminution in Perush Shvi'is to eat it that way. Hichnisu chatzi log, if they're able to produce a half a log, which is double revius, so then kotesh v'sach basodeh. Not only can you eat them, you can squeeze them, and evidently basada is lav dafka, but the kotesh is dafka. You can squeeze them, and the squeezing is, and then you can use them for anointing, with oil, which is also a form of consumption. Hichnisu shlish, if they are there already a third of their ultimate growth, then kotesh basada, also you can squeeze in the field, umachni kones l'toch beso, and bring it into your house. That's already considered not just to be a snack, but to be considered actually full eating, if it's their third of their growth. And that is the measure, the time in which they become chayv and maisus, and other the years of Shemitah. Sharkol, Peiros, Ilan, all the rest of the fruit of the tree, there aren't those earlier times, but rather they are konos and maisus, kachonos and shvius. Each species at the time becomes chayv and maiser is the same time when it can be eaten during Shemitah without an issue. Says the Gemara, Zeisim Shechnisu Revius L'Sa'ah Chulei Ma'u Shlish. What is a third? So we have Mishichnisu Shlish. Is that a third of their growth? Not necessarily. It sounds Ma'u Shlish log. It's when you get a log, which is double the second shear of a whole log. So our Mishnah is talking about where you can talk about olives, which if they're fully grown, they produce 3 log per saw, and therefore a log is a third of their growth. So I guess it is the log is a third of their growth. That's the shear. So the Kabbalah brings down from the Hon Ashir, olives which are more productive, they produce more oil. You have to reckon a third of their growth. Well, actually, you have to reckon all these things proportionally. 1/12 of their growth to eat in the field, 1/6 of their growth to anoint in the field, and he brings down a raya from the Torah's Chanim, and the Mishnah Yosef also says a similar idea. Nisam Kama, and that's what the Mishnah, the Gemara says. Masisa Kama show you in Osim Shlosha Lugin L'Sa'ah. Our Mishnah talking about where there is we're talking about a place that makes 3 lug L'Sa'ah, and it's proportional, determining going on that basis. See, it says Ki Yovel Hi Kodesh Elochem Min HaSodeh. It says Yovel. It's like Yovel. Well, it is Yovel, and it's Kodesh, that which you have out in the field. V'gomer Mahu K'mahu Kodesh, just like Yovel is holy, Atvos Kodesh, so too its produce is Kodesh, and we learned that from Yovel. to Shemitah. It has the same parameters. And therefore, we have Kedusha Shevi'is, which requires us to eat it in a specific way, and we have these rules and regulations which we just mentioned. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yisachina, Menashek lekipsa the Akko. Yisachina would, this is brought down in the Bible in Ksuvas, Yisachina used to kiss the domes in Akko. The Kavanaki brings down, it was actually the not a dome in this case, but the arch of a specific bridge. And evidently that arch was the end of Eretz Yisrael, meaning Chutzlaretz. It said, Ad Kahi Arad Yisrael. Up till here is Eretz Yisrael, and beyond that is Chutzlaretz. Rabbi Yizira Avar Yardana ben Monoi. Rabbi Yizira, when he passed through the Jordan River to go to Eretz Yisrael, he went through it in his garments. And there are two Pshatim in the Kavanaki, which he seems to make one, but I'm not sure why it should be considered one Pshat. One is in order not to make a mockery of the Yarden by going through it naked or semi-naked, because it's the river of Eretz Yisrael. The other is more pragmatic. He needed to toivel his clothing, which was tamei, and therefore he went into the Yarden with his water on. From the juxtaposition of the previous case, it sounds like it really is something which has to do with the honor of the Yarden. I tried to reconcile these two things here and said that on the honor of the Yarden, he would go through it with begodim, that he had to be toivel in order to demonstrate that he should go through it with their cover. Okay. Rabbi Chibur Abba Misagel Bahada Alisis Titveria. He would roll himself in the dirt in a certain place. This is not in the Baal as far as I recall. The Baal Tveria, a place which is near Tveria, where evidently the Chachamim went there for. The Kavanaki says for his bodedus. The Pnei Moshe says. He doesn't say why it's called that, and in order to demonstrate Chaviv B'Eretz Yisrael, I guess he came to roll himself in the ground there. Rabbi Chia the great Maskal Kipe, he would weigh the stones to see if they were heavy enough. Because the stones of Eretz Yisrael are heavier than the stones of Chutzlaretz. That's the Pshat from Tosfos and Ksuvas. Pnei Moshe also says a similar thing. And Rabbi Chanina did a similar thing. Rabbi Chanina actually was sacking Gushaya. He would fix mounds in Rishus HaRabim. In other words, he would potholes, or the opposite pothole, outcropping. And this that was put down in the Bavli, and that is in order to fulfill that it says Ki your servants, they desired its stones and had mercy on its dirt. In other words, we had a special chiba, special love for Eretz Yisrael. Says the next Mishnah, at what point are you not allowed to cut down branches in Shemitah? Because you're going to cause the loss of the fruit which has started growing, and it's Peir Shemitah, and therefore it has to be eaten and not be eradicated. Kavanaki was an interesting thing. It says that this about tree where there's no Baal Tashtis, such as a tree which is near the city, or it's more expensive to use its beams than to use the fruits. But I think you're allowed to cut branches off fruit trees. It's just not to cut down the fruit tree altogether. So I'm not sure what the issue is here. Yerushalmi Shevi'is. Every tree, when it starts, when it produces something which is recognizes fruit at the beginning of its growth. It's still me macharu and ishalshlu. No, each thing is different. The carobs, once they start cascading down, they're a little bit dangling. Vakfani mishigar the grapes when they are full of water. The Gemara is going to explain that. Vazesi mishayanotzu. And olives, once the the flower falls off and you can see the fruit. V'sharkol and the other tree once it produces. Masros, any tree once it gets to the fruit gets to onas hamaisros, which is the third of its ultimate growth. Mutar lekotzetzo, you're allowed to cut down the branch because the fruit is suitable to eat. How much should be in an olive tree? And you should not cut it down, even on other days of the any year, not just Shemitah. Rova, which produces a rova hakav. The other trees, evidently, they require a kav. And so the Gemara says about kind of tzadik aleph, but the olive, because the significance even a rova kav. Hakol lefi hazayis. There is no set. Some says the chazonish. But if you are going to make more out of the beans than you're going to make from the olive wood, if the olives, then you can cut down that olive tree. And that brings us to the top of Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph.